Okay. Also, during your learning today, if you would like to share your learning, if you will tag me and tag our ESC 11 Bilingual ESL, you can also tag ESC Region 11 if you would like. I'm still going to give a few people just, if you don't mind, I'm going to pause for a moment and see if any others will enter. I feel bad that some of you were probably looking in your confirmation email and did not have access to that, and I just real quickly sent that email. So if you don't mind, I'm going to pause just for a moment and see if we get a few more participants before we really get started, because we did have about 50 people or so that have registered, and I appreciate your patience. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started. There may be a few people joining us. And again, I do apologize about that glitch, but welcome. If you were here and joined us for our last ESL Teacher Collaborative in April, we had a great turnout. We had over 200 teachers join us, and we had several great ESL teachers in our region sharing what they're doing to connect with their ESL students during this time. And really kind of our motto, or just kind of saying right now, is it's better together. You know, standing alone, we may have great ideas, but it's great to share with others. So together as a group of we, that we can accomplish more. And so we welcome all of you for joining us today. And just those also to our guests that are willing to share what they're doing. Also, I would encourage you to share things that you have come across in the chat box, because that only helps others. So again, welcome if you are here for the first time, and welcome back if you are joining us again. My name is Melanie Yoakum, and I am the team lead for Bilingual ESL at Region 11, as well as the migrant program and our federal programs. And my passion is working with English learners. I've spent my entire 22 years in education, either teaching English learners or supporting teachers and administrators of English learners. And so I'm very passionate about working with this group of individuals, of students. And as you can see, I've included just kind of to give you an idea of how big Region 11 is. Some of you may not realize, and I'll tell you, when I was in district, I never really thought about what does Region 11 cover, but we go all the way down, as you can see, into Erath County, Johnson County, and all the way up to Cook County, which borders Oklahoma. So we have some districts that are probably 2 to 2.5 hours away from our service center, which is located just west of downtown Fort Worth. So we're very large, and we border Region 10. And so we have a lot of people who also attend their trainings and sessions, but we're very large, and we're also very diverse. I'll show you on the next slide. Oh, nope, wrong slide. So we're very, sorry about that, guys. We're very diverse. We have some districts who are very large, like Fort Worth ISD, Arlington ISD. Then we have districts that are middle of the road, you know, in size. And then we have very tiny districts that might only have, you know, one English learner, or, you know, less than 10. And so we have a lot of differences. We have some districts who they don't have anybody supporting them at the district level. And then we have other districts that have a team of people that help them. So just very diverse as far as when we consider, you know, our population in the region. So I came across this beautiful picture that Valentina created. If you don't follow her at Valentina ESL, she produces a lot of these beautiful sketch drawings, and she even has sessions on this. But I really wanted to show this because I wholeheartedly believe that ESL teachers are some of the best teachers around. And it takes a lot to be an ESL teacher. You know, you have to have that content knowledge, you have to be flexible, definitely have to have empathy, a vision, a growth mindset, because things are constantly changing and we have to adapt. Having that knowledge of what does language acquisition look like, and just love for this group of students, and then having that culturally responsive approach. On Region 11, we have some at-home learning for our English learners. We have lots of things. We have pre-K through 12 resources there for you that are aligned to the TEKS, but we also have activities, but we also have a section for English learners. I'm not going to take time to go into that, but you will receive this PowerPoint later where you can go back in. I've included a QR code if you want to take a picture of that now. But our Learning at 11 site has a lot of different things for English learners. There are things that Let's Practice English, and then it's pre-K through 12, and it's divided, and you'll notice that as you move through the different grade levels, it has been adjusted for the audience. We also have Let's Practice English with pictures, and that is also divided into 2 different groups of students. No technology needed, really focusing on that reading, writing, and talking. And then there are also resources for parents and for you for translating. Also, there's a no tech ESL lessons that has been a collaborative across the world by an ESL teacher, and I believe it's New Jersey, but I may have that state wrong. But she has pulled people together, and they have been translating. It's up to 31 languages right now, and you can find that on this site as well. In addition to that, there are Zoom instructions in multiple languages there, as well as Google Classroom instructions in multiple languages. And so I would encourage you to check that out. Also, I always tell teachers that Facebook and Twitter is like free PD. And here are a few of the ones that I'm currently following. I'll tell you, it gets a little overwhelming because there's just so many great things out there. But I wanted to show you that these are, and Facebook, these are the 3 that I've been following and have been getting a lot of great ideas. I know there are more groups. I just can't handle following more than that because it floods my stream, and I already don't do a whole lot on Facebook. But and then Twitter, these are a few that you may be familiar with in the ESL world that I'm currently following. There are many more, but I would encourage you, if you're not following me, please do that, because I'm constantly tweeting out resources that I come across. And it's free PD. And right now, with us all being stuck at home, there are lots of great tools. Also, I'm excited to announce that you can watch PD 24/7, or the things that I have posted, but I've just recently started a YouTube playlist under ESC Region 11's YouTube channel, and the 2 playlists are listed there. When you get this in your email, it will be hyperlinked, so you'll be able to go there. But I have 2, the English Learner Support. Any great video that I come across, I have been putting it in that playlist. Especially a lot of silents. They've got a lot of good sessions, and typically they have been posting them to their YouTube channel, so I've been putting them on my playlist. This session today, I will add to the playlist. And as well, I've started an English Learner Parent Support. These are all in their infancies, but will be continuing to add them. And the purpose for the Parent Support one is just to have resources to share with them, such as, how do I read to my child? And also, I've posted videos on there that I've come across, books that are being done through YouTube. And I found 2 different languages so far, but any other ones that I find, I will share. So those are other great places to go. Also, if you're not following other people on YouTube, I would encourage you to do that, because a lot of other educators and publishers are posting a lot of really good things there. So that's another great free PD place for you to go. All right, so to get into our topic today, our focus is going to be on, how are we connecting with our English learners during this remote learning time? And not just those academic pieces, but really about their affective needs. How are we meeting their affective needs during this time when we can't be with them face to face, to listen to them and to maybe give them a hug? How are you meeting those needs during this time? So one idea that I came across, actually I came across this Slides Mania. If you're not familiar with Slides Mania, I would encourage you to go there. There are lots of really cool slides that you can download for free. But I came across this free download and it gave me the idea of, hey, we may not be together, but we could send virtual postcards or letters. And this link here will take you to the entire slide deck that you can make a copy of and put in your Google Drive. But there are lots, not just this postcard, there are other templates as well. But this would be something you might want to consider, sending postcards. And thinking about it, I might even, if I didn't do it separately and I wanted to do it for a group of students, then for those of you that have a full class and maybe they're assigned numbers, and maybe my slides would be assigned numbers and I would have each person's slide with a postcard on there. You'd have to decide how you might want to do that. But I came across this and I thought, what a cute way to send, virtual postcards or letters to your students during this time, or it's kind of that farewell end of year, I've enjoyed having you in class letter. And then this is really what sparked kind of this training is this Bitmoji. And considering sending snail mail, sending it actually through the mail and adding your Bitmoji, I came across this where a teacher had sent her flat Bitmoji to her students and just a little note to them. And it really just kind of sparked what today's topic is going to be. You're going to see some things with Bitmojis. You may have noticed all of my Bitmojis so far, but I just thought, oh, what a cute way to connect with your kids, where they have, your Bitmoji and a letter to them that they can keep. And some of you may be thinking, well, we only have 1 week left of school, but I would encourage you to still do this, even if it's an end of year, like I said, farewell or goodbye. Could you send them that as kind of that little memento of the year? And then we're going to kind of move into some of the Bitmoji things that I've come across. And I loved this idea. And this is a link to a reading scene that you can make a copy of and add it to your Google Drive. And then you can adjust it how you want. But let your ELs imagine that they are reading to you or with you. And what's really cool is on this laptop, it has a timer on there. And so they can actually, if you want, if it's 30 minutes, and you can adjust the timer, but you could ask the students, go on to, this page and I want you to read for 30 minutes and I'm going to be there in my Bitmoji. So I just thought this was another cute way to connect with kids for, that maybe they don't have anyone to read to at home, or just another way to connect with you. And this one I found to be super cute as well. And someone has created a digital memory, and it's their class picture. And so could you keep your students connected with a class photo? Now, this could, be done in 2 ways, especially depending on the age of the students. It could be that you make a Bitmoji for every student, and you can add that Bitmoji extension to Chrome, where you can do it on your computer. Or there's a how-to on that, as you see over here on the side, that you could send to families on how to create a Bitmoji, and they could send you the Bitmoji and you could put it all into that template. So the second link is actually a template for creating that class photo. So I just thought this was another really cute way to connect with your students and give them that memory of, we're all separated at home and we're not together and we won't get to say goodbye. But here's our class, you know, because it has been a virtual digital class these last, you know, month and a half or so. And so this is just another great way to kind of end your year. And then I came across this resource, and this, once you click on this and make a copy of it or download it, you will actually have the hyperlinks to this library. And so you can see this, and I just added my little Bitmoji over here, but you can see how to use the Bitmoji extension, how to create interactive slides, and more. So that's kind of a help center for you. But again, once you will have to make a copy of it or download it in order to access those hyperlinks. But those are also other resources for you. And I thought, you know, this is also a cute way to, or a cool way to put all of, you know, your classroom resources together. Could you create something for your students? And I know we're ending our year. You know, some of you have 1 week or 2 weeks left, but you know, we really can't foresee what's going to happen in the fall. And, you know, there are a lot of different conversations going on about the fall maybe being hybrid, or, you know, we just really don't know what that could look like. And so I would tell you this would be another way to provide resources or activities for kids. But even if we do go back to complete normalcy, I still think this would be a great way to add things for either parents or students. This slide is very, I know, busy, but I wanted to put everything on one slide so you had the links to everything. And so you'll have those links when you get this in your email. But these are all the resources that I came across that I thought would be helpful for you. Even how to make your Bitmoji talk. Making stickers for Google Classroom and Seesaw, because I know many districts in our region use one of those platforms, or both, because many will use Seesaw for the younger ages and then Google Classroom for the older. How to put the Bitmoji on your slide, how to make the Bitmoji interactive, uploading 3D Bitmojis, a timetable and inserting into Seesaw, and how to add the Google links, and how to for parents. So this is just I know it's very busy, but you'll have links to all of those resources whenever I send you the email. All right, so now we're going to move into our special guest. Today we have 3 special guests ranging from elementary, middle school, and high school. And these ladies are going to share how they are connecting with their students during remote learning. And first up, we have Crystal Herrera, and Crystal is an elementary ESL specialist in Keller ISD. So she'll be sharing what she's currently doing to connect with her kids. Then we have Carly Mailer, and she's from Carroll ISD, and she works with middle school and high school ESL students. And then we have Maddie Farr from Lake Worth ISD, and she's at high school, and she's going to share with us how she is currently connecting with her students. So we thank you for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to these ladies.
Hi everyone, I'm Crystal Herrera, and I definitely got bitten by the Bitmoji bug. So I'm just going to show some ideas that I've been using in my Google site. I've been posting these weekly. So right here, you can see this is kind of a banner that I have listed on my Google site. It links to my Zoom meeting with my kids. The books on the bookshelf are all linked to read alouds for the kids. I tried to bring in some personal elements like those posters that are above the board. Those are things I actually have in my classroom. And so the kids can see that, and it kind of just brings in that connection between what school was and what school now is. I've seen a lot of teachers pull in personal elements, like maybe they have a Starbucks coffee cup because that's what their kids always used to see them with, or a pair of running shoes because the parent, you know, the kids know that that's what they do, is they like to run. So this is just great to kind of bring in some of those elements that you have at school. And to just kind of give kids like, this is my virtual classroom. This is what I'm doing at school. Pretty much anything can be linked here. So that's the cool part, is you can hyperlink any object. So if you wanted to hyperlink the markers on the whiteboard, and it can link to like a whiteboard website where the kids can do their math problems, just like that, you can really link anything. So it's actually really cool. Okay, and then our next slide. This is a virtual library. Now this is hyperlinked in a different way than my last books were. These are actually like embedded. So if you click them, it'll start playing. It is a little hard to see the screen because it's so small, but it's kind of more of a listening tool for our kids. So they can just kind of sit back and listen to a story. I've got several that are like this. This is a Pete the Cat one, but there's several that I have that are themed, and the kids can just kind of listen to it. So I thought that was pretty cool. And on our next slide, I thought this was really cool. A bilingual teacher made this, and it is all the Spanish-speaking countries. So she took all the posters from all these countries and created this big wall. And if you click it, it takes you to a YouTube video about that country. So I was thinking I would love to adapt this for ESL to be able to pull all of the countries from my students, create some sort of art gallery or just kind of like this posters, and have each kid represented. And that can be something that I can share either through virtual learning or even in class. And then if you had a cluster of students in a classroom, you could even share that with the classroom teacher so they could share that out with the whole class and kind of just build that pride in their home culture. And I just think that would be great for the kids to share that with their classmates. Next, okay, this is just kind of showing what an embedded video looks like versus a link. I'm going to use this on my Google site for next week, for the last week. It's just a book called Lizzie and the Last Day of School. And so they just click it and it's like they're in my theater with me, eating my M&Ms and popcorn, and they can watch the video with me. So it's just bringing in that personal element again, instead of just like, here's a video link, watch it. It's just bringing in a little bit of the personal to kind of help them. And then my last idea, I'm creating another link on my website that I'm just calling Summer Fun. And I'm linking more read alouds, kind of my virtual libraries. I've got some more on there. And this is the field trip, so virtual field trips. So I just linked 4 websites that had pretty good videos that were virtual field trips. So they can click the San Diego Zoo, Yellowstone National Park, Great Wall of China, and the Monterey Bay Aquarium. And it's just something fun for them to do over the summer. So I'm not making this, you know, an assignment or anything, but it's just a fun little part on my website that they can enjoy. So I'm not teaching you all how to do any of this today, but Melanie has given you plenty of resources. And I've linked one as well. On the next slide, you'll see my contact information. That Facebook group that Melanie talked about, Bitmoji Craze for Educators, is amazing. All of the ones that I borrowed came from there, and everyone is very, very generous with all the work they've been doing, and it's all in Google Slides. So you really just copy the slide, put it on your own, change the Bitmoji out, and it's ready to go. But feel free to reach out to me if you have questions about any of this. You should be receiving all these slides, so you can copy the slide, make it your own with your Bitmoji, and you're good to go.
Thank you, Crystal. That was wonderful. Such cute ideas that can really connect with our kids. And I'll echo what Crystal said about this Bitmoji Craze for Educators group. I have to say I've gotten a little overwhelmed because they are constantly posting, which is awesome. And they are very generous about sharing and allowing you to copy them. So I would encourage you, if you really think, oh, this is a great way for me to connect with my kids, and you are on Facebook, then I would encourage you to go to that group. I'm sure probably through Instagram and some other, maybe even Twitter, there are other groups, but these are the ones that I'm familiar with right now. But there's so much out there. I mean, even if you just go to YouTube and search, you're going to find a lot. So thank you, Crystal. Thanks for sharing. Our next presenter is Carly, and I will let you take over, Carly, and introduce more of yourself. Carly is an ESL teacher, and I've had the pleasure of having her in several of my sessions throughout the year, and she's going to share how she's meeting her middle school and high school students.
Hello, everybody. As Melanie said, I do teach ESL at Carroll ISD. I'm at 2 campuses. I have 7th and 8th grade and 11th and 12th grade, so my days are a little bit crazy bouncing between schools. But on the next slide, you can kind of see I have been at a variety of schools, and I've been in a variety of subjects. Melanie, will you go to the next slide for me, please? There we go. I guess my biggest piece of meeting my students' affective needs is being a human being with them. And over the last 6 or 7 years, being in so many different subject areas and grade levels between the gym and the classroom, I've really come to see the individuality in students, and that's what I focus this around. Just a little background, whether I'm with my 7th and 8th graders or my 11th and 12th graders, I really focus on individualism. And during this time, it has helped me immensely. I am lucky enough to not have a huge number of ELs on my caseload. I don't know, I've talked to a couple teachers at Melanie's classes and stuff that have over 100. And a lot of the things that I do would be very hard if I had that many. But I truly believe in the individuality. And it sounds a little bit more difficult to do with a large number, but I build my lessons around the themes that my students enjoy. And I think I've got that from my ELAR background. And I start at the beginning of the year, and then this year I kind of started again when all this happened and was doing my check-ins and stuff, but I found what they were enjoying at the time. So on the next slide, I've incorporated the things I've used the most during this lockdown, shutdown, things that honestly, it's driving me insane because I am an extrovert in any case, and I'll be at every class possible and to see people and talk to people. But for the communication side of it, I am very unorthodox. I talk to my students almost daily on WhatsApp, and I use that for my FaceTime instead of Zoom meetings and Google Meet, because with my students, especially my 11th and 12th graders, that is where they're at all the time because they're talking to people in their home country, so I can always see when they're on and when they're off. I have used Instagram, and using Instagram was kind of a funny situation because I actually used it to do some recon on a student that we couldn't find. It was the only place that I could actually see whenever he saw my messages. And he couldn't hide from me because hey, you just read this 2 minutes ago. I know you're here. So I know their Instagram. I'm an Instagrammer. I love it. I love posting pictures, and I've used that tremendously during this time. Talking points, I use that just to reach them as a whole, that they respond if they know I just sent it and things like that. But it really reaches the parents on the other level to whenever we need, like this week, hey, we need a little bit more work. We need some things, you're falling behind. I got teachers emailing, what do we need to do? That's when I can kind of get that second little hand to help. And then of course, Google Meet. A lot of my teachers use it, and I can sit in on their meetings, and I am usually the support there to where I can say, hey, my student doesn't like to be on camera, but we are here. I can talk to him on the side using WhatsApp while we're sitting on the same meeting so he doesn't feel like he's singled out or anything like that, because some of the Google Meets and things that they do are a little strenuous at one of my campuses. On the education side of it, and I've made this clickable for y'all. I'm sure most of you have heard of Edpuzzle and Wiser. I use these two the most because I can really focus on my kids' interest. I have a student who absolutely loves superheroes. He's an intermediate in 7th grade, and whether he likes to learn about the plot elements, I can make a Wiser worksheet into a superhero worksheet, and he thinks it's just the greatest thing ever, and not actually noticing he's only focusing on the plot elements. So it really hits those individual themes that they are really looking at. Goose Chase, I don't know how to take a poll or on the chat, can you tell me if you've ever used or heard of Goose Chase so I can know if I need to go into it a little bit more?
Go ahead and share about it, Carly. It's a great tool. I've used it before, but go ahead and explain.
Goose Chase is so much fun. I've actually got my kids out of the house, and that is a big deal for some of them, but only by using Goose Chase, and not even the Goose Chase for EDU. I use it a lot for vocabulary, so the students actually can show me that they understand what that word is and they know how to use it instead of just repeating a definition to me. This week we were working on the word quench, and I have a student who he'll sit there and he'll memorize, and he'll tell me on Friday, you know, yeah, means this. I'm like, congratulations. Well, what does it mean? Well, for this week, I sent him on a goose chase, and he had to actually send me a picture of him quenching his thirst. And he had to prove to me what quench was. And on that goose chase, he sends it to me, and it's a game. He gets points for sending the correct answer, or the correct video, the correct picture of him doing whatever it is that word is asking him to do or defining. So it's really gotten my kids out of the house, got them moving. I have some that would rather game all day. And this is how one way I've done science scavenger hunts, so I could substitute some assignments they weren't doing for science teachers because it was just a little bit too difficult. So we take that vocabulary and we go outside and we go find it. And because they're earning points, in the future, we'll have some type of prize for that. So my next one is choice boards. And Melanie, if you could click on that one for me. I know a lot of people use choice boards. This one, just click on make a copy. I just sent that one on there. I've sent this one to a lot of teachers all over the nation recently on an ESL Facebook page I'm with. This is just a basic choice board I created that gives teachers an example of what to put on there. Have some ideas, and I have a gazillion different things you can put on there, and I'm happy to share. But it just kind of gives the kids, you know, you want to do Wednesday's work on Monday, have at it. I just set those standards at the beginning of the week, and these are things that they can use and have, and it really gives them that choice, because I have some students who, if you tell them something to do, they don't want to do it. But if they think it's their idea, you'll get every single one of them on Friday. So. And the last one I put on there was the Google Suites, and y'all can click on that one later. And I know everybody, for the most part, uses Google Suites, but we have really made poetry and reading comprehension and things like that a little bit more hands-on using it. We replaced, you know, reading a basic poem. Sorry, y'all, I'm gonna kill my husband. We've replaced reading a poem with putting the poem back together, and doing that through Google Drawing. Or for the one student who absolutely loves superheroes, I created the virtual field trip after he answered a Google form correctly about a reading passage that I put on there. And it's just a set of Google slides that have different links and stuff. But I've used those just to focus around their likes and their dislikes and things that they need to work on, or the things that they might be good at, just to show them, you know, hey, you're not learning something new all the time, but you have mastered this and you're good at it. All right, and this is pretty much my last slide, but it was just some ideas, kind of like what I've gone over of things I've done. I do have the WhatsApp virtual workouts with some of my students. Those ones that need to get out and have some fun. Well, we get on that FaceTime, we talk, and we go for a run. And I'm not running for longer than 2 minutes, but we'll sit there and breathe hard together because we're all out of shape. The Google Meet with puzzles, you can pull up websites where you do just normal basic puzzles. And I had one of my kids who is reluctant to speak and is always real nervous. I had her on my Google Meet. I shared my screen. She told me how to put this puzzle together, and we drank our morning coffee together. And we talked, she relaxed, and it was just a really good way to get her to open up. Another student, I have a Nintendo Switch I don't really use. He got his speaking practice by telling me how to set it up. I kind of just, that was a winging day, but he loved it. And I told him, I was like, that's a bonus grade, dude. I was like, you just got this. You can, you know, this is what you're good at, teach me. Because I think them showing me something that I'm not good at makes them feel more human. And that's what always, that's my goal, is to make them feel good, whether I know how to set up a Nintendo Switch or not, whether I have a Nintendo Switch or not, they're able to tell me how to do it, and they feel important. And I just want to make them feel good. I think that's it. I'm trying to see my screen over here. And I always say be nice, be true, and be interested. I'm very unorthodox in the way that I connect with my students and the things that we do. And I'm not real good at social distancing. So even going and sitting in that parking lot showing them that I'm interested has been real big with them. So if y'all want any of the resources I put on here or any of the theme-based things, I am happy to share. Just contact me anytime and I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Carly. And yes, she is definitely passionate. I've had her in several sessions and it's awesome. And I love that passion because to do this job, you really have to be flexible and you have to think outside of the box. Some of the things that Carly shared, you may think, oh, wow, I would do that with high school kids. But yes, middle school and high school kids are just big kids, little kids and big bodies, what I like to say. And when I taught middle school, I did the same things that I did with my elementary kids and just maybe adjusted a little bit. So Carly, thank you for highlighting all the things that you are doing to really meet those students' needs. And if you've ever been in a session with me before, you've heard me say that a smile is free and it goes a long way, and that our #1 priority is meeting their affective needs. So when, teachers or principals call in a panic, oh my gosh, I have this new student, I don't know what to do. My #1 tip is just to make them feel welcome. The learning will come later. Learning does not happen if students do not like you and do not feel welcomed by you. So thank you, Carly, for, sharing all of those great things.
Thanks.
All right, so next we have Maddie, and Maddie is going to share how she's currently connecting with her high school students in Lake Worth.
So I should have put this at the end, but now I put it at the beginning. So now you get my information at the beginning instead of at the end. I think that my biggest challenge in all of it has been getting in touch with the students. A lot of our kids don't have internet at home, or we couldn't go up to school, so it was hard to call them and contact them. And my kids they're my kids. I have my own children that I gave birth to, but they are my kids too, and I worry about them. And I was worried about them. Thought about them over spring break, and then I didn't get to see them. And it was they're big kids, but they're still my kids. And but we had a lot of issues. I had teachers, hey, I'm emailing them and they're not emailing me back. Well, they may not have the internet or something to email you, or they only are using their phone. So that was my biggest issue to address, was getting in touch with these kids. And so I put in a couple slides. I have not joined the Bitmoji craze, but I'm going to now. So that is going to happen now. So talking points, Carly talked about that a little bit too. I've had, not as much with the kids, but a lot of the parents have contacted me, and I've had a couple teachers, I've shared it with my fellow teachers, and they said, oh, I finally got this parent to contact me. They weren't getting that from those teachers. The great thing about the talking points is that it translates for you, and the parent can put in, or the student, whoever's using it, can put in what language they would like things translated into. I speak and can write a lot of Spanish, but I have students that speak and read and write in things that I do not know how to read or write in. So this helps to do that. So I really liked talking points. This was the first time I had used it, but I will definitely be using it whether we go back to normal and are back on campus or not. This is something that I will use indefinitely. Also, I was talking to, when this first started, and I'd email kids, email teacher, or email kids, and email email parents, and I wasn't getting anything back, and I went to campus right as this started, and we were allowed to go to campus to grab our things that we needed at home. And I called the kids from there when I was on campus, But I mean, I teach big kids, and sometimes, and some of those kids are adults, and I'm not as comfortable just giving out my cell phone number to all those students. So I have another teacher friend that I go to church with, and he had suggested getting just another phone. And I don't just have money to blow on an expensive another phone. And so I went to this website. My husband actually found it for me. I went to this website, got a low cost phone. It's a low cost plan. I think my phone was like $30 and the plan is like $8 a month. And that is the phone number that I've been giving out to students and their parents. And I've been getting the most response from that because they can text me. The kids can text me. The kids can, they can call me. I had a kid call me yesterday wanting to know about when school was ending. So they're able to call and they're able to text, and they know it's coming to me, and that's helpful. The texting has been the biggest thing. That's how they all contact each other. So they like that they can contact me that way. I am pretty particular about it. I have small children at my house, so I turn it off at night. And I've told all the kids, hey, I don't leave my phone on at night, but you can absolutely text me or call me, and I will get back to you the next day when I turn my phone on. But I really I think that has been the best thing that I've gotten out of it. And they gave me a phone number, and it gave me that. And I liked having a physical phone and doing that with it. So I didn't have a whole lot to share, but one more thing I did. Because we're not with our teaching partners anymore, and I missed that with those. I created a Google site specifically for my campus. And this one is specific to my campus, but you could change it specific for that. And some of you probably already have this going, but I added some things about accommodations. What does it look like to provide those accommodations virtually? And because I had lots of teachers ask me, what do you mean I have to accommodate their work virtually now? And what does that look like when I'm doing it on a computer or on Google Classroom, or what does that look like? And then I put in some websites for teaching, some websites that they can use with their students. And then, I don't know why it looks like that, but the actual website doesn't look like that when you actually do it. Sorry, I don't know. But there was websites for professional learning, some websites for some things that they can use with their kids. And then I put the talking points and things like that on there. We don't always, as teachers that work with ELs, and a lot of us have been doing it for a long time, we understand what that looks like to accommodate work. And to us, it's just second nature. Oh, well, this kid needs something that kid doesn't need, but it doesn't always translate for teachers that are new teachers. Like, we have a lot of new teachers. I had a lot of new teachers this year. And then not only were they new teachers, but then they were thrown into, hey, go teach at home and do this from your living room. And they needed that help, that support in what that looks like virtually. So that helped with my teachers. So that kind of lessened some of that stress for some of the teachers as well, which in turn hopefully lessens some of the stress for those kids as well.
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And Maddie brought up a good point about giving out your phone number. You do want to be careful as far as communicating with students, and your local, your district or your charter has I'm sure a local policy about communication. So just make sure that you're, following those guidelines. Talking points, that's been brought up multiple times, and it's a great resource. My husband uses it with his high school students, and finally was getting more responses due to using it. And you text straight from your phone. It doesn't see your number, so that's great. But if you need to make phone calls, that's a great resource that Maddie shared. So thank you guys. Thanks for sharing all of your resources. And then again, remember, you'll have the links to all of these resources that we're sharing here today. So now it's time to pause and look through our chat and see what questions that have come about and what questions that some of you may have for our participants or for our presenters. So we have a lot of great comments about kudos to many of you. But right now, if there are any questions that you may have, if you will type those in the chat box, then especially for our presenters, if you have something specific that you want to ask them, then this is your opportunity to do so, and then they will come on and answer. If you don't have any questions, then we'll move on. So
Melanie?
Yes, go ahead, Elena.
Yes, there was a question. One of the questions that came up was ideas to organize to assist the ESL students that may require assistance. In particular, they talked about semester exams.
Oh, okay. So, Maddie, would you or Carly want to share maybe something that you've done to organize that?
Our semester exams were suspended, so I haven't really thought about that.
Okay.
So Carly may have something better.
Okay.
Well, ours were suspended as well, but we still have a multitude of teachers who are giving, their last test, for the year. And what I did for a couple of students who I knew would not use the accommodations that they have in place on their computer, like Google Read and Write. I actually got on a Google meeting with them and made them share their screen to where I could sit there with them and watch them use the bar up top. And I didn't help them. If I had to do a word or something, they needed my help on something like that, like normal, I would. But I was really there just more of a monitor, making sure that they were using the things that they normally would in the classroom. So having them share their screen. And like I said, that was just one or two taking the same test for the same teacher at the middle school level. But that was the only way I've really had to focus around test or accommodate test.
Thank you, Carly. I do see a question that has popped up, and I know we have more, but just happened to pop up about Rosetta Stone and making that purchase. Rosetta Stone is free right now. I don't know if it runs through June. I can't remember the date, but it is free. I actually have my youngest practicing his Spanish on it. But I will tell you from experience, my experience in district with Rosetta Stone, it's expensive, and I never really had very many teachers that put their students on there, or it was just for a brief time period. So for me, I never had a whole lot of luck with getting the most out of what we were paying for it. So the usage was never high. There are a lot of great free things out there that you can utilize to learn English that are free. So just other things to check out. Duolingo is, someone has mentioned Duolingo is free. Unfortunately, as it's gotten more popular now, they want you to there's a lot of ads on there and they want you to pay for the paid version, but that is free and is another tool that can be used. Someone is also asking about the parking lot activity. Carly, was that you that mentioned something about a parking lot activity?
Yes, that is me. This one was one of those completely off the wall. I don't follow directions very well. I actually went to my kid's house, and the area in which the student lives, quite a few of them live. And so we were focusing for one student mainly that she's taking 2 math classes to try to get caught up so she can graduate next year. Well, one of those classes is geometry. And let's just say that shapes are overwhelming to her. So I took my toddler's chalk and we went and drew shapes and labeled them. And then we worked on like surface area of a circle, which if anybody knows me, I am not a math person. Never, ever, no way, ever. I asked my husband how much it's going to be, when it's 35% off at the dealer's outlet. So getting me in a parking lot doing geometry was the best way for both of us to enjoy what we were doing. We actually, she has a little brother, the student I was working with. So I worked with him writing a short story because he loves to draw. He drew that character with the chalk. So it was kind of a win-win. So it was just kind of focused around what they were learning and what they needed at that point. I just went over there and we played. So I just focus it around specific needs right then.
Thank you for sharing, Carly. And you know, what Carly's speaking to, that she's done, and all of you are doing whatever it takes. And I know you are exhausted. Experience has been, you know, much different than standing in front of a classroom. And even on my end of not, you know, not teaching, but it is more probably stressful and strenuous than it would be to go into the office. So we know that you're, and Carly and all of you are a testament to how hard you're working to reach their needs. Any other questions that you may have before we move on? I'm going to go ahead and move on, but if you have a question, feel free to put that in the chat box, and then we'll look again before we end our time together. Now, if you were with us last time, I shared a link to a Google folder where you guys could drop resources in. Well, no one was sharing in that. And so I decided to create a Padlet for you. So now you will have, and you can see a little picture up here, but you will have access to this Padlet. And in this Padlet, I've already added some resources. I added last month's webinar. I've added our Learning at 11. I've added my English Learner Google site that has tons of resources. Also, I follow and attend almost all of Silent's webinars that they've been putting on for ELs, and so I added that there as well. And I also added the links to our 2 YouTube playlists on our ESC 11 YouTube channel. So that is a place for you to also add. And just as I'm talking to you, I need to make sure that I have the settings correct. So as soon as I get off with you today, I will go and verify, because I may not have the settings where you can add anything. So I'll make sure I change that. But here's a place for you guys to add your Google sites, to add anything that you come across that you think would be helpful. And really, my vision for this would just be kind of that curated space for people to go to and collect resources and see what's going on out there. So we'll continue to add to this, because we plan on continuing this through the next year. So we'll continue to talk about this Padlet. Here's the site I mentioned. This is the English Learner Resources Google site that I created about 3 years ago. And really how it started was I had a district. I was not in this position. I was at the ESC, but as an instructional coach. And I had a district call and say, you know, we don't have money for Rosetta Stone. We don't have money to buy apps for our iPads and whatever. And what do you have? And so this is kind of was born out of that. And I've got listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and vocabulary, grammar, content areas, practice English, also resources for you. And I'll continue to add to that. And it is a living document. I know that there are even probably some broken links in there that I need to fix, but this will be on the Padlet, and you also have that link down there. So that is a place that you can go. You are welcome to share this with whomever you want. The whole goal is to get those resources in the hands of both teachers and students. And then we would encourage you to check out any upcoming PD opportunities at Region 11. And then over to the right, you can see this is the s'more that I just released earlier this week with the virtual EL summer. And we'll continuing to be adding to that as well. I have a lot of 1 hour bite-sized webinars coming up that you may be interested in. I also I've taken several of the 6-hour trainings that many of you may have participated in, and I've now converted that into a 1 hour or to 1 or 2 hours. It just depends on which one, and a condensed version of those. And so I would encourage you to check those out and register, and you know, join me again virtually. So what's coming up next? Next month in June, we're actually going to do a combined bilingual ESL teacher collaborative. Next week on the 21st, we have our bilingual teacher collaborative. And we decided in June that we would bring both groups together to host a special guest, Dr. Sandy Benavides, sorry. And she is one of our consultants that is a counselor, and she does a lot with foreign transcripts and many other things. But we asked her to come and really talk about the social emotional learning following COVID-19. So, you know, once we go back, or whatever going back looks like for us, we're going to have Sandy speak to us about how important it is to meet those social emotional needs and what traumas could have been occurring during this time, because we know that school is a safe haven for many students and many teachers too. It's not just our students. So she's going to speak to us on that topic. So we'll have a combined time together as one group. So I would encourage you to register for that. And so now, before we leave, I really want to, know how impactful was today's learning. And I have a really quick little poll that I would like for you to take. So we have an idea if what we're providing for you is actually impactful. How are you able to put what you learned today into practice? Now that you've attended this session, how well do you understand what we talked about? And finally, just from your perspective, how valuable were the concepts taught in this course and how much will they help you improve your practice with EL? So if you don't mind taking that poll for me, and then we'll move on to our ending slides. And the reason for this, I know that you get a survey when you attend a Region 11 training, that you get a survey, but a lot of times those questions don't really address the impact of the training and was it helpful to you. And as consultants, we really want to know that what we're providing for you is impactful. And if we're getting feedback that it's not, then we need to make changes. And so that's the reason for you completing this survey for me. So I'm just going to give everyone a few minutes to complete that. About half of us have done that. And this is only, this does not show who your name or anything. It's anonymous. So it just gives me data.
Where do we go to find that? I'm sorry.
Oh, I have it projected. Everyone should see that. And we have people voting, so I've got 30 of 39 in. When I projected, it should be on your screen. If
you just click.
If you can't access it, no big deal. Don't worry about it.
I've been able to make comments, so I don't.
It's okay. We're almost there. I just want to give everyone an opportunity. Thank you for your patience. All right, we have 3 more people and then we will stop. If it doesn't move, then I will assume that those 3 people are not able to vote or not going to vote, and I'll go ahead and end the poll. All right, I have 35 of you, and I'm going to go ahead and stop it for the sake of time because it hasn't budged. So I'm sorry if you didn't get the opportunity, but I welcome your feedback. All right. Okay, and finally, I want to leave this note for you. I attended the 2020 BEAM conference that was hosted virtually because we couldn't do that in April, early April when we were shut down. But she had these 4 essential messages for students, and they were, you are important. What we are learning is important. We will not give up on you, and you can do it. If you're not familiar with Carol Salva, she does a lot of presenting for Silets, and across the nation, she does a lot of different trainings. So she is definitely someone to follow. We've had the pleasure of having her at the Service Center. She has several great books. But I want to, not only leave you with this message for students, but really, take out the word students and put teachers. We want you to know that these are also 4 essential messages for you as teachers. You are important. What you're learning and what you're doing is important, and we're not going to give up on you, and you can do it. We know this is stressful, and we know this is not ideal, and you miss your students, and a lot of demand is being put on you, and a lot of changes keep happening with grading policies and whatever it may be. So we just want you to know here at the Service Center that, you know, not only are these 4 essential messages good for students, but they're good for teachers as well. And we know you're working hard during this time. And finally, this is how you can contact me. My email, and I run both of those Twitter handles, the Bilingual ESL and my own through ESC Region 11. To the right, that is a QR code to our Bilingual ESL program page. It does have, it's really under construction. I'm still working to get it where I want it to be, but there are a lot of resources there. It does have a lot of compliance, but you will find resources as well as a parent support page that has resources there too. It's another living document that will, you know, I will continue to make improvements on. And then to the left, this is my SMORE, Succeeding in a Diverse Classroom. This SMORE has been going on for 3 years now, and it's not particular to ELs. However, I tend to lean more towards providing resources for ELs because that's just my passion, and now what I you know, spend 100% of my day doing. The last 2 years, I was a pre-K-12 instructional content coach, and so my days weren't particularly wrapped up in ELs 100% of my day. And so, but now they are again. And so you can find lots of great resources there, as well as my archived issues where you can go back. You can either click on that link and follow that particular SMORE, or you can send me an email and tell me that you want to be added to it, and I'll add you to my email group. And then every month, whenever I publish those, you'll get an email with the link to that. Or I always tweet them out on both of these Twitter handles as well, so you can find that there. But I just want to thank all of our 3 guests, our ESL teacher guests, for agreeing to maybe step outside of your comfort zone and speak to others. I know it's uncomfortable, and especially in this manner where we're not face to face, and you can't see everybody's faces, and so it is not easy to do this. So I appreciate your expertise in sharing the resources. I also appreciate all of you that have joined us, whether it's for the first time or you're joining us again. We appreciate you coming back, and we hope that you continue to come back, because the goal is we will have next one in June. We'll have one in July. We will have 2 in the fall and 2 in the spring, is what our goal is, to provide these. And we'll continue to ask for guests. So if you are a passionate ESL teacher and you are interested in sharing, because the topics will also, they'll change once we do go back to some normalcy. It may not, be particular to remote learning anymore. We're going to talk about other things. And so if you're interested in sharing, just shoot me an email and I will hold on to your name and reach out to you when we have our next one. And so if you want to share, we would be happy to have you. And again, just thank you to all. And I will send an email tomorrow that gives you the PowerPoint and PDF version, as well as the recording, so you have that. And so you have all of those resources. When it's PDF, the hyperlinks are still there, so you'll have everything you need. And I hope that you plan to join us in June for that joint ESL bilingual collaborative with our counselor consultant to learn more about how do we meet the social emotional needs once we return back to school, or if we don't return back, and what will that look like. So thank you so much.